Hello, everybody. Good evening or good morning, wherever you are in the world. Um, so let me know if you can hear me, if you can hear me well, if you can hear the piano well. So yeah, let me know if you can hear the piano well, hear my voice well, and let me know in the comment section, in the chat section rather, where you are and how long you've been playing. Get everybody an opportunity to get in. Come on in, everybody. We'll give everybody a few more moments and then we'll get started. I'm excited about this lesson today. All right, Frank, I have some family that lives in Houston, and so yeah, I might be down there soon. Seth from Johannesburg, wow. Herbert from Malaysia. Elijah from Zambia. Charles from Arkansas. Gareth from London. Come on in. Come on. Hi, Gareth. Badri from Germany. Wow. Badri, I was actually born in Germany, so I have a fond place in my heart for all things German. Hi, Mario from Jackson, Tennessee. Wow. Nana from Philly. Cool. We give everybody just a few more seconds to come on in. All right. Well, good evening, everybody, from wherever you are in the world. We have people literally from all over the world, from Zambia. Ricardo Lima's from Brazil. We have Malaysia, South Africa, Germany. I think I said Zambia. New York, London. There we go. London, New York, Georgia, Ghana. Wow, Ghana, Montreal. So all over the world. Thank y'all. Come on in. Share this. Let everybody know that we're going live. So share it on your social media outlets. Let everyone know we want as many people as possible to hear this. All right. About New Orleans. Wow, Germany. Okay, cool deal. Well, let's get started. Thank you all so much for joining the live stream today. I really, really appreciate it. Now, today we're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is harmony. And we're going to go through. Now, I titled this 7 Levels of Gospel Harmony Explained, but I actually have several more than 7. We'll see how it goes. If I run out of time, then I might limit it to 7. But I'm going to try to get through all of them. I actually have more than 7. I actually have like 9 or 10. So we'll see what happens. And I also have some resources for you, so that I'm going to be giving out for free. So just stay tuned. The first thing I have to mention before we delve really deep into this harmony, 7 levels of harmony, is that for me, I cannot do a harmony talk without first mentioning melody and melody's relation to harmony, at least for the way I play and the way I approach playing and the way I think you should kind of approach playing. The melody is our guide, as I think what was it? Maybe Joe King Oliver said. And so when we voice chords and when we're kind of figuring out how we should play things, the melody, whether it's the actual melody of the song or a counter melody, is always our guide. So you'll notice when I'm playing, I'm always considering the melody. All right. So today I want to use a song to demonstrate these 7 levels of harmony. I might use more than one, but the one I want to focus on right now is I love you, I love you, I love you, Lord, today. Is everyone familiar with that song? I love you, I love you, I love you, Lord, today. Because you care for me. And so just wash away. Does everyone know that? Let me know in the comment section, in the chat section. All right, cool. So some people are familiar with it. So this, funny story, this is actually the very first gospel song I ever learned. I was a guy who read music, so I was, reading and that stuff, and I would just that's what I did. And I was 17, and one of my cousins, who's a really phenomenal musician, and minister of music in the D.C. area, he came to me and he came to my house one day and said, I'm going to teach you a song. And so he taught me this song, I love you, I love you, I love you, Lord, today. And then he said, okay, you're ready to go play in church. And literally, I took my keyboard and went to church, and that began my baptism by fire into learning how to play by ear. And really my musical journey. So this song is near and dear to my heart, and I thought I'd bring it back. All right. So most people here are familiar with that song. If not, here's what I'll do. I created the lead sheet that you see on the screen. It's only part of it because I'm not going to do the whole song. I'm really going to focus on just first 8 bars or so. But if you like the lead sheet, here it is. I just put a link to it in the description box. If you just click that link, it'll take you right to the lead sheet so you can have that. Okay. All right. So let's begin. Let's begin with the first thing. And actually, before we begin with the first level of harmony, I have what I call the pre-level or the skeleton harmony level. And so what that simply is the melody and the root. The melody and the root. So let me just play it for you. All right, and stop right there. So the first thing I would like for you all to do, any gospel musician, the first thing you should do is make sure you know the melody and kind of the root of the chord. So often I find that many gospel musicians don't know the melody of the songs, and so when they're playing, we don't really know what they're playing because they don't reference the melody. And so for even for this harmony talk, learn the melody. So if you can't play the root and the melody to a song, then definitely rework that. All right. All right. So the first level of harmony, of gospel harmony, is just simply diatonic harmony. And what do I mean by diatonic harmony? I simply mean that you're going to use the chords in the key. So for this song, we're going to be in the key of F. And so F has 1 flat, B flat, right? And the chords are, right? So the first root is F major, G minor, A minor, B flat major, C major, D minor, E diminished, and back to the root. All right. All right. So the first level of gospel harmony is just understanding diatonic harmony. Can you, if I called the scale degree out, could you play it? So if I said play the root or the first scale degree, the chord built off the first scale degree, could you play it? And could you play it in all of its inversions? So, sorry. Or the second scale degree. Or the fifth scale degree. Right? So let's take that idea and play this song. So here it is. All right, so this is very simple. It's the first level of just simply playing diatonic harmony. That's harmony of the key. All right. So, and so, yeah, this lesson is going to be for every level. I didn't say that front, but let me say it now. So if you're a beginner, this will be where you start. And if you're advanced, just stick with me because we're going to start adding stuff. And before long, we're going to be pretty advanced. Actually, we're going to be really advanced. So stick with me on this one. All right. So again, the first level of harmony is just simply diatonic harmony. All right. And so if you're struggling with the songs, the first thing I'd encourage you to do is just play the chords as they are in the key. So that's the first level of diatonic harmony. All right, so let's go to the second level, which is where we get into chord extensions. So we're going to extend beyond 3-note or even 4-note chords. So let me explain what I mean when I say chord extensions. Let's leave the key of F for a moment. Let's come to the key of C. Let's look at the C major chord. We have C, E, G. Let's look at a C major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it repeats. So we have 1, 3, and 5. That makes up a C major scale chord. I can add the 7. So I'm adding some color. And I like to call extensions colors, so you might hear me refer to them as that. But we can keep going. We can add the 9. Let me bring this down here. For the 11th, we make a sharp 11 on major. Even the 13th. So why do we add these chord extensions? To give different colors to our music. So we're not always playing these simple triad chords. Now these are fine, and there's lots of music where this is like the best way to go. But if you want more options, we'll start adding sevenths, so a major 7th, and then learn the inversions. right? Start adding the nines to your chords. So there's the 9 right there, or 2. See, it adds an element. Even the sharp 11. Or the 9 and sharp 11. Alright. So let's try our song now with these extra colors and see what happens. All right, so let's kind of walk through and some of those colors I added, just to make sure everyone understands what happened there. All right, so we have the F major chord, just regular. And you can add the 9, so right there. Now, generally, you don't want to compete with the melody, so maybe let's add the 6, or so the D, or the major 7. All right, that's cool. Or now we go to the B flat. We'll add the 9 in there, so we have the B flat. All right. Now we're going to the C. Let's add the 9. Now let's invert the chord. Let's make it C major 7. And now we have F major with the 6th there. So do you see how I'm adding these colors to really change the sound, so it's something different than, but rather now we have all right, let me show you that. I'm giving away all my secrets today. All right, I'll show you that one. That's not even. I stole that actually from Rodney East. He a phenomenal gospel musician out of Chicago. He does this when he goes to minor chords. All right. So what that is effectively is D minor, right? And then we move these. So now we have D, the C is the 7th of D minor, and the G is the 11th. Let's look at it like this. This is D minor. So D minor is made up of D, F, and A. But if I extend it, there's no 7. So D minor 7 now. So I have a C. If I extend it again, E is the 9, and G is the 11th. So let me go back to where I voiced it. So right here I have just regular D minor, just 3 notes, D, F, and A. But now I've changed it, and I have D minor still in the left hand, D, F, and A, but I have G, C, and F there. So I have the 11th here, the 7th here, and the 3rd in my right hand, right? So yes, that's a nice sound. Thank you, Rodney East. All right, so here, now let's go to this chord. Here's our G minor. What do we do here? Well, let's see what we have here. Well, we know G minor is simply G, B flat, D. All right. Let's make it a minor 7. So G, B flat, D, F. Let's make it a minor 9. G, B flat, D, F, A. And let's kind of mix up the notes. Let's bring the A down. So let's bring it here. Let's bring this whole chord down. So that's a nice sound. Only says ask. Um, so I'm gonna read this question. So you're still playing the same chords but adding colors so that it sounds like a different one. Exactly. All we're doing is adding colors. Now I am known for my food examples, and I love using the hamburger example. So when you think of a hamburger, when you go to get a hamburger from wherever you get a hamburger, it's not just meat, bread, meat, bread, right? You add lettuce and bacon and some of these places have put a lot of different toppings on the burger, and all those toppings are there to enhance the flavor, give you a different flavor, um, and so that's all we're doing. And so, how do you know which ones to choose? Which one do I choose? Well, it's simply you have to sit down and listen and try them, work with them, spend time with them, and then you'll start developing. Oh, I don't like this sound here, but I do like this one here. Now look at this one. Now this is my C major, but I have an E on the bottom. Well, I've inverted it. Remember we talked about inversions, right? Right? So all it is a C with add 2, or C with a ninth added. But I did it in first inversion, so I have an E on the bottom. All right, why do we do inversions? Well, because so let's see, C here. Now, even though these are the same notes, this has a different sound. And so with the root on the bottom, that sounds really home, rested, strong. Here, it still sounds like C, but not as like sturdy, strong. It feels a little like we're transitioning away from this shortly, right? All right, so one more time with these extensions that we're adding. Oh, I did it there. So I'll give you that one as well. So I'm on B flat major. We know B flat major is just simply, right? If I wanted to add the 6th, maybe that would be G. The 7th would be A, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's do it like this. So I'm playing the 3rd and the 6th, and then I'm going to change to the 9th and the 5th. So, see that? Inverted, C major with the 9th added, inverted. Then I'll go to C in root position. C, and then F. Now D minor, here it is. There it is. G7. All right. My G minor 9. All right. All right. So that's let me give you one more thing on this level. Let me talk about suspensions. There are two types of suspensions I want to talk about. It's the 4/3 and the sus2. So sus4 and sus2. So what that means is if I'm playing a regular F major chord, I could suspend the 3rd, and so this becomes the sus4, F sus4, where the 4 is suspended and then it drops to the, or sus2. So these are also some great options for playing. So let's see. So I'd added suspension there. Do you see that? Let's see. So. Alright, no, I don't want to play that yet. But here we go. On the D minor. it's like I mixed a 4, this kind of sus4 sound and a sus2 sound. But I'm going to minor, so but I put them both together. Sorry. Sus4, resolved. All right. So the second level is adding chord extensions and making use of suspension. All right. Okay. Let's look at level 3. Level 3, we want to talk about substitutions. And we can get really, really, really advanced with our substitutions. I actually created a sheet that I'm going to share in the chat section now that talks about harmonic relationships. Okay. But let me just write it out on the screen so you can see it. So there are three main chord families when we consider chords in a key. You have your tonic family of chords, your subdominant, and your dominant. All right. So your root, third, and sixth are your tonic ones. Your second and fourth are your subdominants, and your fifth and seventh are your dominant functions. So what does that mean? So in the key of, let's go to the key of F. Our root is F major, right? Third is A minor, and the sixth is D minor. These three chords can all function as tonic, right? They can all function as tonic. Meaning they can all function as one. So whenever you go to the one, any one of these three chords could function as one. The subdominant group is the subdominant group. This like the predominant. This sets up the dominant, and these have the note F in them. So sorry. So let's think around the key of C. Let's go to the key of C. So the roots would be. I know I'm changing keys between C and F. I generally like to show these principles in C just because there's no flats or sharps. So the root would be C, the third would be, so C major, E minor, and the sixth would be A minor. The second would be D minor, and the fourth would be F major, and the fifth would be G7, and the seventh would be B diminished, right? So for the subdominant, what makes this group subdominant is they have the note F. And F is a tension note in the key of C. It wants to resolve. So it's called subdominant because it's not as tense as the dominant. The dominant has two tense notes, F and B. And this wants to resolve. Right, so this is why we use dominance right before we go to our home base, because they want to resolve really bad. So because of this, we can make some substitutions. So let's look at our song. Let's go back to our song, our lead sheet. And I know some of you might not be able to read music, but if you can simply just look at the chord symbols. So you see on the screen F, B flat, C, F on the top of the notes. So just kind of look there. All right. So let's substitute the B flat. So in the key of F, we have our tonic group, which is F. So root, third, and sixth. So F major, A minor, and D minor. Our subdominant is 2 and 4. So G minor and B flat major. So let's substitute G minor for B flat major. Why? Because they're both in that subdominant group. So let me write this in the key of F. And I know I'm switching back and forth between two keys. I think I'm just going to try to stay in F. My apologies. So we have the root F, third A minor, sixth D minor, the second is G minor, fourth is B flat major, right? So we're going to substitute G minor for B flat major. And I don't think you can see that, but I'll just kind of quickly transition so you can see that. So the root is F, the third is A minor, the sixth is D minor, second is G minor, fourth is B flat major. All right, so let's substitute in our song. Let's substitute B flat for G minor for B flat. So let's hear how that sounds. That works. That works. So that's B flat, but here's G minor. All right. So as you can see, you can substitute, make use of these relationships, and you can substitute different chords. And we're not going to do too well. Tell you what, let's do some really, really out there ones. I don't want to introduce them yet, but I will. I won't get too in the technical details of this, because this is a big topic that I normally spend about an hour teaching on. But I'll just talk about mediant relationships. Mediant relationships, just for a moment, because I'm going to make use of them in a second. And I'll just talk about two mediant relationships. F major. So if you're wondering, when I teach about an hour on this, yeah, in our school, I have an online school where I teach classes, so you can go to our website and see the classes. In our chord moves and progressions class, I teach for about an hour on this topic. It's a really, really big topic, and so I'm just going to share just maybe like 90 seconds of like an hour talk. All right, so there are things called mediant relationships or mediant substitutions. I'll just call it mediant sub for mediant substitutions. And this means like substitutions in thirds. So I can substitute for F, I can substitute D major for F. And let's see. For G minor, I can substitute E flat major. All right. I won't go into great detail with that. I would suggest study the. I just gave out a harmonic relationship sheet that you can use to kind of study this. Some of this. Now, it doesn't have the mediant relationship stuff, and maybe I might make a video on that. I'm not sure, but definitely, if you're interested in learning a lot more, definitely check out our online school. Okay, so let me demonstrate this. Let's see. Urban says, "Can I purchase this class only?" No, I'm not selling individual classes, but I might have something for you in the next couple of months. So stay tuned to the channel. That's my little teaser. All right, so let's see. Here's how it normally goes. All right. So that's a D major. So that's a triangle. That's a D major. So triangle means major. So I'll write. I just put a D, so not to confuse anybody. So I go G minor. All right, now this time I'm going to do our substitutions. I did it again. Did y'all understand what happened there? So did you understand what I did? So I went to D. Now this is first inversion, so for some of you who haven't learned your inversions yet, this might look confusing, but I'm playing the notes of a D major chord. You see it? Let me put the root on the bottom. Do you see it now? It's the same chord, just inverted up. And then I did the same thing for the E flat. I inverted that. So now it's E flat major instead of here. Just first inversion. So all right. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. So that's substitutions, harmonic relationships, and I gave you a little bit of mediant stuff. I'm not going to go into any more of that stuff just because that's a big conversation, and I have something prepared for you all coming soon, so stay tuned to the channel. Okay. All right. I won't give it away anymore. All right. Let me move on. All right. The next level that I want to talk about is secondary dominants, 2-5-1 progressions. In these things. So we start inserting these progressions, 2-5-1 progressions, secondary dominants. All right, so does everybody know what a secondary dominant is? All right. So a secondary dominant is simply a dominant chord that's not part of the key. So in the key of F, there is one dominant chord, C7. But I can use other dominant chords to propel me to chords in the key. For example, I could play a C7. That's right, Julian. 5 of 5. Cool. I could play a C7 to propel me to F. But what dominant chord propels me to G minor? It would be its 5. So I count up 5. So here's D. So this D7 will propel me into G minor. So let's try that. Right. Or what about B flat? What dominant chord will propel me into B flat? Well, we simply go to the 5 of B flat. So here's B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So F7. Does everybody understand? So what dominant chord leads me to F? C7 leads me to F. What about G minor? D7. What about B flat? F7. So the function of the chord is 5, 7 to 1. So I'll write that on the screen. So we're doing many authentic cadences. 5, 7 to 1. We're just doing like little small mini versions of that all throughout this piece. So let me show you that. Let's play that for you. So here it is. So now I'm going to put a secondary dominant right here to lead me into G minor. I'm going to do G minor instead of B flat. So I'm going to make use of our substitutions. I'm going to go to G minor next. All right. But what chord can I add to propel me into G minor? What dominant? So what 5-7 chord or dominant chord can I add? Well, D7. And here I did a D7 with a flat 9. So I added our extensions. All right. Now, if you look at the sheet music or the lead sheet on the screen, I'm going to C next. Right? So what chord will propel me to C? Well, G7. All right, so um, let me do it again. All right, so I have a question for those that are wondering. I have this D7 chord, right? But then I have this E flat. Now E flat's not really part of this key, but where did that E flat come in? Well, it's the flat 9. So here's root, 3rd, 5th, 7. Here's the 9, and I flatted it. So on dominant chords, we can flat the 9th, or sharp the 9, flat the 5, sharp the 5, and the 13th. So we have so many options. So again. Now here, I'm going to D minor, so I'm beginning the second line, but I need a chord to help me pass from where I am on that F at the end of the first line to the D minor on the beginning of the second line. So what chord will propel me into D minor? Well, it's 5th, so A7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A7. So now look at this A7 I played. So remember we talked about extensions, but look at this A7. What is that? Well, Paul is just about there. Paul said A7 flat 9. He's almost right. He's almost right. So I have, so A7, here's the 9. I flatted it, but watch this. Here's the 5, and I flatted it too. So flat 9, flat 5. So, all right. Look at this D minor I did. So this is D minor. I have the 13th, the 9, and the 11th that I resolve to D minor. You see that? All right. So let me go back and play it again using these secondary dominants that aren't in the key. The only dominant that's in the key is C7, but we're adding these other dominants to help propel us to these chords. D7 flat 9, G minor, G7, add 9, add 13. F. Now I'm going to my A. All right. Now that's one thing I want to talk about as well, is that we change tensions on dominant chords a lot. Now I'm going to do a video on that, but what I mean by that is when I play my dominant chord, I'm not stuck here. I can change the way it sounds. So I can go, now I have A7, sharp 9, sharp 5. And then now A7, flat 9, flat 5, right? I'm just changing the tensions on my dominant chord. It's still a dominant chord. It's still propelling me to D minor, but I just changed the flavor on the dominant chord. All right. That's my G7, and then, all right, G minor. Then the C7 with the flat 9. You see that there? All right. So that's secondary dominance. But we can go even further. We can go even further or farther with this. Let's see. Let's add. So let's do 2-5. Let's do 2-5-1 progressions. So now we were adding secondary dominants, which were 5 chords, the 5-7, the dominant chord that'll lead us to a chord. But now we're adding not only the 5 chord, but the 2 before it. So we're even expanding out. So we're adding the 2 before the 5 chord. So let me show you what I mean. If I'm going to F, what's the 5 chord? Well, it's C7, right? C7 takes us to F. But what's the 2? Well, it would be G minor. So 2, 5, 1. What if I was going to G minor? Well, the 2 would be A something, right? And then the D, right? What if I was going to B flat major? Would it be a C minor 7? F7. So our 5 is F7, and our 2 is C minor. So 2, 5, 1. So we can make use of this. So we can just kind of add on more chords. And you see this all the time in gospel music, where we add progressions, not just secondary dominants, but 2, 5, 1s out of the key. Okay. So let me demonstrate that, and then I see some questions that I need to answer. So here we go. I'll even start with the 2, 5, 1. So G minor to C7. Now we're going F. Now we're going to G minor, but I'm going to do a 2, 5, 1 to G minor. So here's G. So I'm going to go 2, 5, 1. So our A, D, G. So I'll do it again. Did you hear it? So I'll do it again. Alright. I did it again. Now I'm going to G, so I'm going to do a 2, 5, 1 to G, which is D minor, G7 to F, right? Sorry, to C. D minor, G7 to C. Sorry, so I'll do it again. Now I'm going to D minor, so I'm going to do a 2, 5, 1 to take me to D minor. So all right. All right. I'm trying to prevent myself from playing too much here, because we still have so many more levels to go. All right. All right. So is that making sense? Let me do it one more time. Here it is. 2, 5. Now notice in minor, if I'm going to minor, the 2, 5, 1 is different from major and minor, right? So if I'm going to a minor chord, it's not going to be, so if I'm going to G minor, for example, if I'm going to G minor, for example, the 2 is not A minor. It's actually A minor 7 flat 5. A minor 7 flat 5, then I'm going to do D7 flat 9. So here it is. There's an inversion. Look at that. That's an inversion. That's C7 inverted. And I'll resolve it to F inverted. That's nice. That's a nice sound. Instead of... So let's try it again. Here's the 2. Oh, okay. Now let's really turn up the heat. let's let all the secrets out the bag. All right. I'm going to share some secrets that some gospel musicians might not want you to know. All right. So remember we talked about earlier the harmonic relationships, how some things can substitute for others, right? So remember we had F, and I talked about that mediant substitution, meaning F and D major were related. Now I can't go into it fully here, but F and D major are related. So instead of playing F, remember I played D major. D is in dog major. Yep. Right? So, right? Or, and then for G minor, I played E flat major. Or, right? So, or all right, so now watch this. I'm going to do a 2-5-1 to the D major now. Now this is going to be kind of um, be kind of weird. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Hold on 1 second. It's not coming. All right, so let's try it. I want you to hear this. So normally we go. All right, now watch this. All right, let me break that down. That's pretty fun. All right, watch it again. All right. Do you see that? All right, so what did I do? I did a 2-5-1 to D major, so E, E minor, A7 to D major in first inversion. So if you're looking for the D to be on the bottom, I just inverted the chord. So it's still D, I just inverted the chord. And then I did a 2-5-1 to lead me to the E flat major. Right? That's a so that's a common substitution that you hear guys do. So let's see. All right, let me show you that one move I did in the middle. This did you see me do that thing? Let me share what that is. All right, that's simply a G7. I just didn't play the root. G7 with the 9th and 13th. Sorry, 9th and 13th. So just G7, and I changed the tensions. Right? So we go from G7 with the 9 and 13th to G7 with the flat 9, flat sharp 5 to G9 to G7 with the flat 9, flat 5. So let me show you this again. What did I do there? I added an extra chord. Yeah, I did. So I went E minor, A7 to D, and then I went F minor, B flat 7, A. So now here's B flat again over the 7th, right, to E flat major. All right, so let me answer some questions. Somebody says, I'm so confused about the mediant relationships. Yeah, so there are different types of mediant relationships, and I said that conversation generally takes me to go through all the examples about an hour. So if you're just looking in the key, then yeah, for instance, for G, then E minor. So for G major, E minor would be the mediant relationship. Sorry, for G, no. Let me go back, I'm sorry. So we're in the key of, I'm sorry, I forgot, we're in the key of F. So in the F, we have A minor and D minor. These are its relationships. For G minor would be B flat major, and for C would be E. These are in the key mediant relationships. But there are other mediant relationships that I can't cover right now that are not in the key. There are chromatic mediants, double chromatic mediants, and so I just kind of shared those with you without going into real depth about explaining about how they all work, because I have so many to cover. But stay tuned. That's my little plug. All right. So let's keep going. Let me demonstrate it one more time so we can hear it. Okay, So that's the secondary dominants and 2-5-1 progressions. So that's level 4. Let's move to level 5. So this is tritone substitutions, and we hear about this all the time. So simply what a tritone substitution is, when we most often hear it, all we're simply saying is whenever you play a dominant 7th chord, you could actually play the dominant 7th chord a tritone away. Let me explain what I mean. Look at C7. Here's C7. Now C7 has C, E, G, and B flat. Now if we look at the 3rd and the 7th, E and B flat, these are what we call the guide tones. These are the most important tones. These give the chord its quality. You know, these are the tones that really give it its sound. Well, there's also another chord that has these same 2 notes as its guide tones, and that's F sharp 7 or G flat 7. Look at its 3rd and 7th. Or E and B flat as well, right? Just in the same notes. So we can substitute G flat 7 for C7 whenever we want. So I'm not going to do too many of these in this song, but I'll do 1 or 2. So let's see. Let's see. Tell you what, let's do one off the bat right here. So let's go back to B flat. So for our 2nd chord, instead of going to G minor, let's go to B flat, like it's written on the lead sheet. So right. So now, so I'm gonna play. What chord will lead me to that B flat? Well, F7, right? So now he's at this, right? But now I'm going to tritone sub that F7. So instead of this chord, I'm going to change the root to B, which is a tritone away. So that's a cool sound. So right there, I did G7 to take me to C, but instead of G7, I did D flat 7. Now it's not as nice. Let's see. There we go. So look at my D7 chord here. It's a D7 with a sharp 9 and sharp 5. So let's see. Let's do it again. That's tritone sub to B flat. Here it is. That's a weird sound. Tritone sub for the G to get me to. All right. Oh, I've gone too far. Hold on. All right. So I'm going to the D minor. What will be the tritone? Well, first off, what is the dominant chord that'll take me to D minor? A7, right? Well, we are going to go to E flat, which is the tritone. Oh wait, so there's my E flat 9 sharp 11. So let's hear that in context. So all right, so let me take a few questions. Someone asked, what course covers medians? That's our chordal moves and progressions course. That course covers so many different chordal moves and progressions. It's a lot. We spend 3 months covering as many progressions, many that you never even thought of or have heard of. And so it's one of my favorite courses to teach, just because we get to cover so much ground and so many different options. So only says, is it wrong to think of the tritone substitution as a half step up from the root or the tonic? No, you can think of it however you like. No, you can think of it however you like. Okay, so tritone sub, that's level 5. Let's go to level 6. I call level 6 my movement level because it's all about movements and just kind of weird things. So let me just quickly go through and let's see if I'm going to combine a whole bunch of things in level 6 and then move to level 7. So hopefully I can get them all in, and oh man, we're at an hour already. Wow. So hopefully I can get them all in. So the first one I'm going to talk about is what I talked about last week, or our last class, which was inner voice movement. Do you remember that? So we have inner voice movement, and I gave you this D7. This one, do you remember this from last week? Well, let's try that in. So that's a D7 or D9 with a sus4. It becomes D7 flat 9, right? So we're gonna go. So we're adding these movements, these inner movements. So let me add a couple more. So I'm adding these little inner voice movements that we talked about last week or our last session. So definitely go watch that one. I think it's actually called inner voice movements. But these little movements inside to kind of give us some motion, so it's not static. Oh, now we have little movements. Right, little movements. All right. So these little movements. All right. So those are inner voice movements. Here's another one that's not even a movement. It's the opposite of a movement, but I like to put it in the movement section. It's pedal points. Does anybody know what a pedal point is? Okay. Well, simply a pedal point is just we're going to hold a common tone down or a root note down and play play the chords over that. So let's hold down F and play our song still. All right. Let's try a different one. Let's hold down C in the bass as our pedal point as we play a song. All right. So pedal points are a really cool way to feel like you're doing something different without actually. I feel like you're moving without actually moving. Okay. Let me talk about diminished passes. In gospel music, we use a lot of diminished movements. All right. So let me give you this quick tip, just really quick tip. In going to minor chords, you can play. So let's say I'm going to G minor. I can play, and I'm using like melodic minor. Right? So I can play the diminished chord on the 6th here and the 7th. So E diminished, F sharp diminished to G minor. So whatever minor chord we're going to, I can use this kind of movement, and I can have fun with it. Right? I can do my move from last week. Okay, so let's try in our song. So, oh, sorry, I'll try it again. G minor. Here's my dominant chord. I mean, my minor chord. I'm coming to D minor, so I could go. So 6, 7, 1, 2. So. All right, sorry. Okay. All right. So that is the diminished pass. Okay. So that's level 6. And there's so many more things to cover. I'm just trying to give you kind of an overview. And then the last thing I want to do is modal interchange. Let me write the name of this down in the chat session. This is modal interchange. We have what are called church modes. So you have Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian. So what that simply means is, for example, let me show you. C major scale is called C Ionian. Now, so C is the root. Now, C Dorian, this is the next one up, is what scale has C as its second note? Well, the B flat major scale has C as its second. So if I play the B flat major scale starting on C, that's C Dorian. All right, Phrygian is, well, what scale has C as its third? Well, A flat. So we use that in Latin, kind of Latin music. Chicory. All right, and so forth and so on. But then we can do the same thing we do in major when we find out the diatonic harmony for major. We can do that for all of our modes as well. And so what we can do is slip into these other modes while we're playing the song. So let me show you what I mean. So this is modal interchange. This is a little advanced, but I kind of want to give you a sense of this. So let's see if I can do it. All right, I do it right here. I'm going to the end of the song. All right, so let's go back. You notice, so I slipped out of the key of F Ionian, or the mode of F Ionian, and went into a different mode. I actually went into Phrygian mode and played harmony from that mode. Right, so I'll show you again. All right, here it is. There's one. I'm playing B flat minor now and E flat 7, so I'm completely in a different space. That's a little advanced. So that gets pretty advanced right there. Modal interchange. That's something that we also cover in our chord moves and progression class. I promise you, this is not a advertisement for that class. It's just I cover this in that class, which is why you haven't seen me do a video on it on YouTube. I've gotten lots of requests for it, but I don't like. I do like a really big teaching on modal interchange, and I don't like to compete with it per se on YouTube. So I don't mean it to be a ad for the school, but it is nonetheless. Okay. So we have 7 levels, and I left some things out just because we're running out of time. But 7 levels of gospel harmony. We started with diatonic harmony, right? And then we went into chord extensions, substitutions, secondary dominance, tritone substitution, inner voice movement, or movements in general, pentapoints, diminished passes, and modal interchange. All right, so thank you all so much for joining. I see some questions, so let me just answer some questions. Andrew asked, can you send the MIDI to this live stream? Sorry, I didn't actually record the MIDI. So I can't send it. Only says you give so much for free, and it's absolutely fine to promote your course. Okay, thanks, man. Do it says, do it. Fandra says, God bless you for all the unselfish knowledge you're showing us. Thank you. Linda says, hey, Corey. Hey, Linda. All right, so are there any questions? We are at 1 hour and 12 minutes. All right. I got to stop keeping you all here all night. But are there any questions? I have just a few more minutes left where I can answer some questions from you. Elijah says, it has been awesome. Oh, thanks, Elijah. Mr. Lampkin says, can you play it your way before you go? Let's see, how would I play this? That's just a short one. Not too much in that one. All right. Let's see. Some more questions. Seth, eagerly waiting to join the class. Yeah, so we start the class. So we're actually in week 5 right now. So we are... but we will be starting back up in January, and I'll have some special announcements in December, so stay tuned. Brian says, thank you, Corey, for your teaching. What course on the site is designed for beginners/intermediate? I am going to be introducing a new course in January for beginner gospel musicians. So if you're interested in learning it and you don't really know much, I'm going to have a course there for you. So stay tuned. So just watch the channel. Stay tuned to the channel for updates. Stephen Parker says, thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Julian says, thank you. Thank you, Julian Bourgeois. Any other questions? Let's see. How fast can you practice these harmonies? I would suggest practice starting slow, Elijah, and then moving up in speed. Andrew says, "Can't wait to start the courses." Hey, Andrew, I can't wait for you to come on board. It's there's so much material. Um, I am generally guilty of giving too much material, so you'll have enough material for uh, a long time. uh, let's see. Okay, still 6 more questions. That was I have decided to follow. There you go, John. Um, are there online courses for us in Africa? Yeah, Elijah, all of my courses are online. All of them are online. Shady says, Shady Davis, much love, man. I appreciate it. What course do you recommend to teach on voicing chords, learn how to color chords? Judy, I have a course called Chords Galore. So I'll type it in the chat. Chords Galore. And in that course, we cover multiple voicing systems. It's really, really cool. Um, and so we teach you how to voice. I teach you actually how to like voicing systems for every type of chord, inversions. Like it's packed with a lot of information. So I definitely encourage you to join that class. Let's see. Someone asked a question. Urban says, so if I enroll now, will I miss the part about harmonic relationships? We actually already covered it. You can watch the replay of it, but we actually already covered that already. So I would encourage you to you can join now if you like, but part of the classroom experience is being able to work with me in the classroom live, and so I would say join in January. Michael Jordan. Can you play on the song used for the live stream for the other everything? It's showing full tone. John says, can gospel harmony be played in a jazz standard? Yeah, but then it loses its jazziness and becomes gospel. I mean, you can do that, but it loses its. That's a different language. I mean, but you definitely can do it, and there are many guys that do that. Any other questions? Yeah, Mike, I'm a little tired. I'm a little worn out, man. Mike wants me to go full throttle and play it all. I'm a little worn out right now. Okay, one other option, if you are interested, you all, if you go here and to this link I just put, and go to scroll to the bottom of the page, I have a link to private lessons with me, where you can set up private lessons, and if you want like some specific teaching, we can go very specifically on specific teaching, you can just set up an hour lesson with me, or set up. I have different packages for lessons. So for somebody like Urban who wants to get some specific teaching, you might consider that. Okay. Noriko, is gospel piano for solo piano when the bassist exits played differently? Yeah, Noriko, you can use gospel stylings in solo piano for sure, and play it without a bassist for sure. Any other questions, y'all? No? All right. Well, thank y'all so much for being on the live stream. I really, really appreciate you all. Um, and make sure you comment your suggestions for live streams. I have a host of topics I'm going to talk about, but I would love to make the videos that you want to see. So if you have a particular topic you'd like to see me cover, please let me know in the comment section, in the description box. Let me know, and I'll get started on it. Okay. Mr. Val says thanks for the video. Oh, thank you. Yamar Andres says hello, hello. Michael Jordan, no problem as well. I appreciate you, Mike. Only says thanks, Corey. Thank you, Only. Elijah, thank you. Do I have an Instagram page? Yes, my Instagram page is my business name, so Skilled Musician LLC. Thanks. Eric Cunningham says thanks again for the live session. I've learned a lot and looking forward to future content. Bless you. Thank you, Eric. Julian, thank you so much, Corey. You're such a thank you, Julian. I really appreciate you all. Really, really appreciate you all. So next week, so put it on your calendars every Wednesday at 9:30. And let me say, if I didn't say it earlier last week, thank you all for those that were praying for me and thinking about me and offered their well wishes. I was in the hospital. I missed one live stream, and I had a really cool lesson I was going to teach there. Maybe I'll get back to get to that lesson. But thank you all so much. I really, really appreciate you all. So put it on your calendar every Wednesday, 9:30 Eastern time. We are here, and share it on your social media pages. Let everyone know that we're here, and just kind of spread the word. Lee says, do you recommend practicing scales to get better at playing the keyboard? Yes, for sure. I have a video on YouTube, Lee, called How I Improved My Technique. That covers how I practice scales. Rashad says, how do you master every key? You start with one key, or one chord. So whatever you're learning, rather, let me say this. Whatever you're learning, this is what I mean. I don't mean get good at one key and don't practice any others. What I mean is, whatever you're learning in one key, let's say you're learning a move. You're learning this move. Right? Right. Take that move. Once you have it in the first key, then go to the next key. Right? So, all right, cool. Let's go to the next move. Or next key. And so forth and so on to the next key and next key, until you've gone through all the keys. Jeremy says, will this be available after the live stream? How? Well, it's available now. Matter of fact, I think if you click back in the video, you can start at the beginning right now. And I'm not taking it down, so it'll be up it'll be up going forward. Do you recommend playing songs in every key? For sure, there are some things that you definitely want to play in every key or practice, and as you get better, when you play something in one key, you'll have it in every key. But stuff like devotional music, shout music, I definitely practice that every key. Some ballads, you want to go through in every key to make sure you're fluent in them, for sure. So that's a great exercise. And there are some things I've taken through every key really diligently, for sure. Okay, we are at 1 hour and 25 minutes. All right, I'm not going to stay on past 1 hour 30. I'm not going to keep you here all night. All right, any other questions? Any other questions? No, yes, yes, no. All right, cool deal. Well, thank you again so much. And I will see you next Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. sharp. All right. So until then, be blessed and happy practicing.